Hey, Max.
Hey.
My special girl is in the shower, so this is probably a perfect time to talk about The Matrix Resurrections.
Yay, The Matrix Resurrections. Let's talk about The Matrix Resurrections, which we both just saw recently.
Yeah, we just both saw it, and I guess everyone who follows us knows we're big fans of The Matrix and simulation theory and all kinds of science fiction, philosophy, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, I'd say Matrix is a big, important movie to both of us when we were young and we saw it. And yeah, it's a great film, obviously important in the culture. And the new one just came out, the unasked for and unexpected new one.
Was it really unexpected, though? I think that I guess we should just say spoilers right away.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe we should give our initial thoughts. We both definitely liked it. This is a positive review.
Well, I just wanted to mention that the one that no one saw coming, when I kind of think in our sequel and reboot-ridden world,
it's foolish to never.
It's foolish to think any franchise is truly dead.
Always expect
more of whatever makes some money.
And appropriately titled The Resurrection.
The Resurrection.
Always expect a resurrection. Doesn't matter if it's Bucky O'Hare, the Flintstones,
Rob Zombie's The Munsters.
It's coming back. It'll always come back.
Yeah, if you can squeeze $1 out of it, why not? And the reason why I wanted to say spoilers is because this movie addresses that right away, like reboots and sequels, and it makes tons of jokes about, the fact that it is a sequel to your face.
Right. Well, I mean, the movie actually starts out with a somewhat traditional, it starts out with an action scene.
It's a reboot of the first film's action scene.
Yeah,
it's not as good. It didn't really have any tension for me.
The meta level is that someone is watching it, so it's almost like not being played for maximum action thrills. It's already doing something weird right off the bat.
That's kind of a good point right there.
Then of course she takes one of the agents aside, and it turns out to be some kind of weird Morpheus thing. I don't know, the movie's very confusing, but the movie kind of breaks up into parts. There's that first opening stinger.
Yeah.
And then we get a long, hysterical first act that's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's probably one of the best first acts of a film I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's filled with, I feel like the whole time, every joke, our jaw would open wide, and involuntarily we'd go, "What? I can't believe they said that."
Yeah, it's kind of
culminating in the Warner Brothers remark when Neo is in the meeting with his boss, who is the new corporate CEO-ish Agent Smith incarnation.
Yeah, that was the one thing, I guess, that's kind of like the first one where you just can't believe what's going on. And in this one, unlike the other two Matrix films, Reloaded and Revelations, they don't really have that bang first act that's in the first one, and this one definitely has a bang first act where you're like, I can't believe they're doing this.
Yeah, but in a completely different way. The first Matrix film is like, wow, this is so far out, in like a kind of straightforward narrative way, and then this one is, wow, I can't believe they're doing this in a meta commentary way.
Right.
And it's hysterical and excellent.
And I give the film a strong B+. I think it's 89.99%, and I can go into like why it's not an A or an A+ for me. But how about you, Max? Well, what do you think about it?
Well, we just described how much we liked the first act and all of the weird self-referential humor it did, but it also actually did genuinely hook me dramatically in the scenes where Neo is in therapy. Because for me, a big part of The Matrix is, and the reason why it probably appealed so much to young people, is the idea of you don't feel like you quite fit in the world. There's something wrong with the world. There's something more out there.
Marx would call that alienation, where you have to maintain a false consciousness to continue to engage in an exploitive bullshit economic social structure.
And that's actually commented on in the movie at one point when they're saying, what is the Matrix about? It's about this, about that. Yeah. But anyway, my point is that it actually did work dramatically. I don't want to necessarily break down what the movie was trying to say philosophically, just review it as a movie more like.
All right.
Because I would say that, it effectively also hooked me emotionally. It didn't just keep taking me out of the movie with with the humor, it also hooked me dramatically when he was in therapy and he seemed to be genuinely struggling. And then the scene with him and Trinity, and then Chad, her husband, shows up, which was hysterical. That the husband's name is Chad.
That's got to be a kind of like a trans ContraPoints reference, sort of black pill, red pill culture, where it's like Chad.
Yeah, probably.
You know, a Chad is the most handsome, perfect man.
Yeah, it's an internet culture reference.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first act worked both as this fourth wall breaking great joke, but then it also worked as a movie. And then the second act started, and the movie became kind of more of a literal movie and more literal adventure story, where Neo is now out of the Matrix. He's going to see Niobe. He's in future Zion. Robo Morpheus breaks him out. They sneak out after and all that stuff. And then there's a robot. The robots are helping people. There's that Stingray robot.
The Pokemon.
Yeah, all that stuff actually was what worked the least, I think, for both of us.
Yeah.
I'm guessing. Yeah, it definitely wasn't the best part for me. And scenes towards the end where Robo Morpheus and what's the blue-haired
Bugs?
Yeah, Bugs, when they're along with giant Stingray robot and Phantom Sati, they're all there like executing the plot. I'm like, this stuff I don't really care too much about.
No, thank God it was very fast.
A lot of the action scene, the Merovingian weirdos action scene, where Neo is fighting corporate Smith, all that stuff.
Shaolin monks.
Yeah,
also.
There's this weird thing about the movie where some of the action didn't really work for me until the end, where it gets really bananas.
Yeah.
But because the movie is so meta and making jokes, any moment where the action doesn't work or the tone is broken, it still seems like it's working as a film. It's like it doesn't matter if it breaks, because it breaks in the very beginning, the fourth wall, and then there's that really good scene of exposition with the therapist who, how can I not remember his
Neil
name?
Patrick Harris.
Yeah, Neil Patrick Harris, and the super slowed down scene where he's explaining his cynical view of humanity. And yeah, I don't know, I would say the movie worked for me, yeah, both dramatically and also as some kind of bizarre comedy.
I almost don't see any drama in it for me. I very much just enjoy it as a what I kind of expected it to be, which is sort of a love letter to the Matrix, more than a sequel, and kind of a postscript, kind of like a couple of decade and change later. Here's a little postscript to that wonderful thing we did in 1999. But in terms of the drama, I always like the love story between Neo and Trinity, but in terms of a drama, I don't really see it as a drama at all, particularly like the dramatic characters outside of Neo and Trinity, and maybe possibly the two villains are sort of empty in every way. Like the drama that old Niobe and old people make up, which I think it looks terrible, and I thought she was boring.
Yeah, I think
Sati being shoehorned in there, and you don't know who Sati is unless you've seen it, and so to me, that it's actually like really strongly lacking in any kind of dramatic compulsion for me or interest.
Instead, has just enough to not be just bad.
Because
but Neo and Trinity is enough.
Yeah, Neo and Trinity is almost enough because you emotionally resonate with Morpheus even in the second film, and which isn't as good, or the third film, which isn't as good, but you always kind of resonate with, like, say, Morpheus. Morpheus makes it the Trinity, and this one, the Trinity of Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus, and in this one, Morpheus is funny, which I'm fine with. I'm somewhat okay with it being a different actor, but Morpheus emotionally was totally vacant. Robo
Morpheus and Bugs both needed an arc, and neither of them have an arc.
Neither of them have an arc.
In my opinion, I mean, their arc is that they complete the physical plot and overcome the physical struggle, but Yeah, Bugs seems so like shocked and like gratified in her soul searching her identity to have met Neo and to be in this new situation. But then yeah, she doesn't really arc anywhere. And Robo Morpheus in the opening scene, he
I love
seems.
that we're calling him Robo Morpheus.
Well, yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna call him? Well, no, he's really like what, like Nano Colony
He's like
Morpheus?
Nano Colony
Something
Robo. I
like
mean, I'm
that.
fine with Robo Morpheus.
But yeah, Robo Morpheus. He's when
Also, why not give him more nanoparticles so he could become a giant sheet?
Well, yeah,
Or a rope.
Yeah,
Or, I mean, he becomes fluid like the T-1000.
Let's definitely not try to pick apart the logic. It'll get really bad really fast. But yeah, Robo Morpheus, when his opening scene, he seems to be having like an enlightenment moment.
Right.
And then next time we see him and he's talking to Neo on the construct, he seems to have had his arc off screen.
Yeah, that's a great point.
But then there's some implication that he's trying to get Neo to change so that he himself can also have some kind of identity moment, which I just don't think it doesn't happen in the end.
It doesn't happen at all.
Sati, even though she avenges her parents, we don't really see that moment on her face where she's like, yes, I did it.
And nor do you care, nor do you remember her parents.
Yeah.
Because they're in the Limbo Avenue scene, and that's it. And they have like one little flash when you first see the Merovingian in the second movie, but who cares about those characters at all?
Well, I mean, if you want to make us care about them more, maybe hint Sati at the beginning. Maybe.
Well, they did. She's in the cafe and she looks like the Oracle.
Right,
but that's not much of a hint. I mean, yeah, kind of, because she looks like the Oracle and she's giving him, Alice in Wonderland or Through the Looking Glass or something.
Too many characters, not enough arcs.
Too many characters, not enough arcs. Now, this is
Niobe kind of has an arc.
Niobe has an arc, but Niobe is just too ridiculous.
Chill out, Niobe.
Yeah,
you need to chill out,
it's
Grandma.
Like, what happened
Everything's
to
okay.
Niobe? Like, I mean,
she tells you what happened.
She tells you what happened. I think the old people makeup is really bad on her.
I didn't think it looked bad at all, actually.
Okay. I also think it's kind of funny that, Jada Pinkett Smith is in the Matrix films and Will Smith was supposed to be Neo and couldn't
Really?
Yeah, Will Smith was the original choice for Neo.
Oh, that's a terrible choice.
Yes. I don't know. You never know. But
actually, that could be really funny. But what's so great about the way Keanu Reeves plays Neo is that it's so subdued and Will Smith has so much personality generally.
Will Smith has a lot of personality.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can't really see the Neo that we know and love as Will Smith would be like, whoa. So this is the story.
No, you don't have to do that. But no, that's the exact moment I thought immediately was how he would do the whoa. My brain went to the exact same place. But yeah, it was kind of a messy movie.
It was messy.
It seemed like, for me, all the meta stuff worked and was great.
It worked really well.
But for me, also, I would say the one dramatic line through did work for me. You said it had almost none, which I can understand why you say that. But for me, just Neo feeling, uncomfortable and unsure in reality, where he's like standing on the roof and thinking about jumping off and all this stuff, to
I did like a suicidal Neo.
Yeah,
I liked that a lot.
That emotional beat worked, and then the super slow-mo Neil Patrick Harris scene,
that was good,
worked emotionally for me. And then the very end where they're in the cafe and it looks like they're not going to reunite, and then they do, and then Trinity kind of wakes up.
That was great.
And then she flies at the end. That was enough emotion. That was enough of the literal plot having dramatic tension and working for me to carry it through, and for me to completely forgive all the Robo Morpheus no plot, Bugs no plot, Niobe plot told and not shown.
Told and not shown.
Kind of shown by her like, I'm throwing you in jail. No, I'm taking away your captainhood. But that's mostly her just standing there saying
on the balcony.
Yeah, so it's kind of tell not show, which is an unfortunate thing, of course, always. But yeah, I'm willing to forgive all this. Moments where the action felt awkward and goofy, like the Merovingian fight specifically.
Yeah.
Or this fight where he's yelling in the background, to be more accurate. There's a moment where Bugs starts the fight by shooting at new corporate Smith, and he just kind of like does a left and right shimmy in kind of faded bullet time. And it's like, bullet time has been ripped off by so many films since The Matrix. It looked completely indistinguishable from one of those. It was so
I think actually Matrix ripoffs have done it better in some instances.
Some part of me thinks that fight was supposed to look goofy.
There's
like a meta commentary on the action itself. And that's why this movie works so much, is that even with Robo Morpheus not working, I'm like, well, that's fine, because it's all just a video game, and you only needed the meta stuff and the cynical, non-humanistic perspective of Neil Patrick Harris, followed up by the love of Neo and Trinity, and they fly off in the end like video game characters in their super cool black trench coats. And then you got a female cover of Rage Against the Machine. It's perfect.
Yeah, I have to. That's the thing. Is, I actually have to agree with you entirely. I mean, there's parts of it that you like more than I do, and vice versa, I'm sure. But ultimately, this stuff doesn't spoil the movie or ruin it.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to...
Even though it's kind of bad.
Even though it's kind of bad. I love how the other day you were like, the new Matrix is so weird. I don't know if it's good or bad, but I love it.
Yeah, no, I really do. It really, it makes me think of the last review we did was Dune, and at the end of that movie, you don't really feel anything.
Yeah, that's true. In Dune, you don't feel anything. It's all spectacle. It's got plenty of action.
Yeah.
The action is arguably better.
Except the...
Yeah, except for what we talked about, the shield. Like that stuff is awful. But that's actually some of the worst shit. I hope this doesn't dissolve into another podcast about how much we hate Dune because the other one got so much flack.
But yeah, at the end of that film, you
feel nothing.
But at the end of this film, you were like, yay!
Yeah, this film did have emotion. It did have emotion for me as well. I mean, when I said it doesn't have the same kind of drama, you know what I mean? Like, the first Matrix is dramatic from beginning to end.
Yeah,
and even
immersively
so. Like, even Agent Smith's emotions and motives you understand. Morpheus's you understand. The Oracle you get. I mean, you get everybody.
How about that moment where Morpheus, they're like, what's happening? And Morpheus looks in the camera and says, he's beginning to believe. It's like one of the best moments ever. It's so satisfying.
It's very satisfying. Because you are waiting for that moment. You know that moment's going to come. So many great moments.
Yeah,
yeah. The first Matrix is filled with, impossible, perfect, like, again, lightning in a bottle sort of shit.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But again, this Matrix, like, I also agree, is that, like, you're right. I didn't think about it, but you're right. Even that fight sequence with, new corporate Smith and Merovingian Shaolin monk, Tibetan fucking weirdos.
Really weird.
Really weird.
Punk rock.
Like punk even.
Punk rock Tibetan.
With scaffolding.
Yeah.
In a location that you never understand what that location is that they're in or why they're in it.
It could have been a big empty lobby in an abandoned building with just Smith fighting the five of them.
And that would have been kind of cool. But I didn't think about it, what you just said, which is like maybe Lana Wachowski's actually making fun.
It kind of feels like that.
That's the thing. What I do like about this movie is that every step of the way, it does feel like Lana Wachowski having a lot of fun and her writing team having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And much like the first Matrix, it's a shock that it got released, except for the fact that she even comments on, which is like, they want a sequel. They're going to do a sequel. There's no need for a sequel. But I kind of want to do a sequel because as if you look online, you'll find out Lana Wachowski was processing a lot of grief because her parents and a friend died in a very short amount of time. And she did The Matrix to return to Neo and Trinity because those characters healed her so much and they were so important to her. But so there's that stuff. And then there's just honestly, like, it almost seems like Lana Wachowski is trolling one part of the audience who's looking for a new Matrix film, and another part of the audience who knows the Matrix so well that they're super down with anything, and that they're down with anything that's gonna push some kind of intellectual or medium envelope.
And I remember when we didn't know what it was going to be, and we were like, new Matrix is coming out.
Oh boy.
We saw the trailer. I don't know.
Man.
Is this going to be good or is it going to be bad?
Hard to say.
And the thing that I remember saying, and I think you said it too, was just it has to do something smart, different, interesting.
Yeah.
It's got to do something different or interesting.
Otherwise, it's just another Matrix
sequel. And it did it. And that's why, everything that doesn't work for me in the film is almost like is almost funny.
It's funny,
as
yeah.
opposed to
It's not
bad.
bad. Yeah, it's like even you could call it bad and you wouldn't be wrong, but it's also hysterically funny. It's hysterically funny.
But yeah, if I'm gonna take, if I was to take like a super tight scalpel to it, I really would like maybe just a little bit more real character arc moments for Robo Morpheus, Bugs,
Niobe, I guess.
Niobe kind of gets hers, and yes, Sati. Maybe just a few deleted scenes would make the film just perfect.
You know, now that we're talking about it, kind of looks like everyone involved in the real world on Bugs' ship, which I don't even remember the name of. You know, the Nebuchadnezzar is so easy to remember, but and it's some like I'm sure there's actually a brilliant joke in there.
Oh, of course.
But
I'm sure there's a brilliant joke.
I mean, everything is such a joke in it. Where was I going with this? Is that like everyone's arc in the real world and every character in the real world, except for maybe Bugs, you really don't care about in any way. I think I don't care about Niobe. I don't care about the crew of Bugs' ship.
They gave that one crew member that one line. She was like, Trinity is the one that got me out or helped me get out or something. Or I always wanted to be like you guys.
Yeah, which is cool. I think that was
that
okay.
Helped. It was
that
good.
helped in the tiniest way. The one with the cool body tattoos.
Yeah. Did she die?
Nobody dies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, nobody dies in the new Matrix.
Huh.
Yeah, like nobody.
That's interesting.
Yeah, no one dies when you like sit there and really think about it. Like, who dies in that movie?
Oh yeah. Also, since we're recording a podcast and I have a chance to say things I thought about the movie, that whole ending scene when the deja vu cat is running around and Neil Patrick Harris is scrambling around, I was so waiting for him to reach inside that cat, just like they do with the mirror, and pull out like a big gun.
That would be so.
I was so waiting for him to pull like a gigantic gun
like
out of that cat.
Like deja vu, the cat is a node.
Yeah, like exactly.
Like a cheat box.
You stick your hand in the cat just like the mirror, and it's like it's like Doctor Who's phone booth. It's way bigger on the inside.
That would have been a great touch.
It's got an armory in
that
there.
Would have been. That's the great thing about this movie. Is
would have
so
really
many,
entered into comedy.
What the hell? Yeah, and it is a comedy, and like a lot of people. This is going to get into it is a comedy. I mean, from beginning to end, it's kind of a comedy. Even when they're beating up Neil Patrick Harris in his apartment, it's comedic. So it's sort of...
As opposed to the mirror scene in the end of the first Matrix is much more like serious and awesome.
The first Matrix is serious. Yeah. There's no comedy in the first Matrix, really.
Well, the comedy in it is within its world.
The
characters are making jokes to each other to relieve tension and stuff like that.
Yeah, digital pimp hard at work.
Yeah,
right. This movie is funny because this movie is only funny to people who know the Matrix, and probably the people who not only know the Matrix but know the Matrix as a trilogy and read it as a trilogy, like the Ken Wilber and Cornel West Philosopher soundtrack that we mention whenever we can because it's so good. But the people who see it as a triptych, as a 3-act thing, even though it's easy to say the second two are not nearly as good as the first one for different reasons.
Oh, now you're going to go into a review of the Matrix trilogy if you're not careful.
Okay, well, I won't do that, but what I will say is that like this fourth one is not like a sequel. It is a postscript. It is a love letter. It is a commentary.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But one that reflects on our time, just like the first one did.
That's actually a really good point, and we probably should have said that at the beginning of the podcast before we got into spoilers. It does continue from the plot of the last film, but it absolutely does not feel continuous. It totally feels like a love letter. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a love letter. It's a postscript. It's like a genius fan fiction.
We even start out in a different city. Like it's not Zion anymore.
Right.
Like everything.
It's San Francisco instead of like Chicago, New Zealand.
Yeah, they
I guess New Zealand's not a city.
But yeah.
No, I guess it's Chicago, New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's where the first film takes place.
You have to shoot there because it's so green.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say that it was it absolutely. I was worried that it wouldn't be good going in, and it completely blew my mind and set my expectations like way higher than I had hoped, and it was great, and I enjoyed
Your
it.
expectations or your
Well, like
enjoyment?
my expectations were so low, and it just exceeded that so greatly, and it was wonderful, and it was great to see Lana Wachowski make an amazing film, and I was so cynical going in. Another Matrix? We don't need another Matrix.
Yeah, I think everyone who really reads
And
the
it's
first three
so
films is
good.
like, we don't really need one, but we're happy that
Yeah.
there's another one because
Yeah.
this needs to be repeated. You know, are we? Let's just see, make sure we're still
Oh
recording.
yeah, no, it's solid.
Okay, good. So
we're solid.
Yeah, we're solid. We're solid.
Oh, that's
But what did I want to say? Oh shoot. I think this is what I wanted to say. It's good to have a Matrix movie right now, given just, I mean, it was kind of perfect because Meta was announced right before the film came out.
Yes.
And
it looks
Twitter,
awful.
yeah, it looks awful, and the Twitter, the Matrix Revolution's Twitter, like, trolled it right away. I
didn't know that.
Yeah, they did a post making fun of Facebook Meta.
It's excellent.
And it's like, well, we're really happy our film's being released. So the thing is that, like, it's not that the Matrix has not become less relevant over time, even though you can pick apart problems with the second and third one and this one if you want to. It hasn't fallen out of relevancy in any kind of way. If anything, it's become more and more relevant, especially if you want to bring in things like Snowden, Prism, the metaverse, China's social currency. What's it called?
Social credit score.
Yes, social
combined
credit
with
score.
mass surveillance.
Combined with surveillance capitalism and all this kind of stuff. That's just it's happened. Is that
automation,
robots, and all this.
The
kind
second
of ML,
Renaissance.
The second Renaissance. So everything that the first Matrix was doing in 1999, fast forward to 2021. Again, you could pick apart whatever you want to pick apart, but in terms of a social commentary and also a commentary about media in general, which this one is in spades. The first one was, but this one is, just like the idiot's guide to media.
Yeah, this movie's hitting you over the head and making you laugh at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Where the first Matrix was more of a thriller.
Yeah.
This is not a thriller. But the relevancy is what's actually nice to see is, and especially that there's plenty of kids I meet now who is like, oh, I was born 2 years before the Matrix came out, and when you're as old as we are, it's like a horrifying statement, especially because it was so important because it came out when we were still like tweens. When we saw it, we were like, oh dang, this is like saying something important right here. Fast forward to today, it's just grown in importance, and there's not a lot of good commentary out there right now. I haven't seen The Handmaiden, but I hear The Handmaiden is similar in terms of, like, critically looking at what's going on in our time right now. So that was great to see.
Well, yeah, The Matrix is the only thing that talks about all these ideas. Is also a big epic that draws in everybody.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And it was. Yeah, so anyone who is on the fence about seeing it, there's so much to it, and most of the stuff that you see in the trailer happens in the beginning of the film, so you have so much more to look forward to.
You do.
And you don't really know what you're looking at in the trailer anyway, because all the jokes are kind of hidden.
Yeah.
The humor was absolutely hidden. And
oh yeah, you have no idea it's a comedy from the trailer.
Yeah.
It looks like another thriller.
It's an action comedy with enough of a existential questioning love story drama thing in the middle to make it all fly off into the sky at the end.
Yeah, it does. But the thing for sure is that, like, I don't think anyone's really gonna get this movie if they don't see and understand the first three films, which is, it being, like I'm saying here, a love letter or a postscript. Is that, like, you're not going to get the postscript or the love letter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Unless you're familiar.
Yeah, you need to have seen the first three films to get a lot of it.
much like if you jumped into Matrix Revelations after the Matrix, you would not understand a fucking thing.
Absolutely.
You'd be like, why is this Bane guy crazy?
So yeah, see this movie, but definitely have seen the original trilogy.
Yeah, that seems to be a necessity. There's no one who can just walk into Matrix Resurrections and understand anything that's really going on the level of joking
Yeah,
and,
no.
and play that Lana
Yeah, no,
Wachowski's having.
absolutely.
What do you think about the hate surrounding this film? Well, it's got something like a 5.7 on Rotten Tomatoes or
Oh,
something
really?
like that. Before it was 67
Oh,
67 by
Well,
the
yeah,
audience
it's
and the
because
critics.
a lot of people probably wanted a more straightforward sequel. They wanted Matrix 4. They wanted, like, yeah, Neo wakes up, he's in the Matrix, and Zion needs him, and da-da-da. And maybe people are also annoyed by the things we pointed out that we thought genuinely could have been better. But, yeah, that's unfortunate that it's getting that kind of a rating. But I think that the heart and the glory of this movie is in its humor, in its commentary, with that Neil Patrick Harris scene and the ending, both talking about that, and a simple love story in there to make you care at the end. And yeah, I suppose a lot of people probably wanted the action is not that it would the end when people are jumping out of the window and smashing into the ground is pretty like shocking.
The ending was fine for me in terms of action. I
And
was fine with that.
but the action in terms of like uber cool martial arts, slow motion gunplay, fighting action was not that great. But I didn't want it to be that great. What I wanted was a really cool idea and different take on the Matrix, and that's exactly what I got.
Yeah.
I got almost exactly what I wanted without knowing what I wanted from this movie. And to me, that makes it highly impressive. Yeah, just the only thing I can genuinely agree with the critics on is, yeah, a handful of those outside characters maybe needed their arcs a little clearer, and especially in the end. They achieved their goal, obviously, but yeah, like I said, Morpheus's main transformation seemed to happen
off screen, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, which I mean, yeah, maybe that isn't exactly like I say. Maybe it's a joke, you know.
That's the other thing is like, is this movie just joking the whole time? But
it's hard
with
to.
Purpose.
It's really quite possible because I mean, Lana Wachowski's gone on to make other action films after The Matrix, so it's not like she couldn't bring it to the next level, you know, if she wanted to. It could be that it's like, no, the main purpose of this story is the story and not. I don't want to give people exactly what they want. And that's what the whole first act was about. It was about deconstructing the Matrix and kind of poking fun at it. Neil Patrick Harris even says bullet time when he stops the scene down.
Which was amazing.
To give his
that was incredible.
To give his speech, his monologue. And
that was probably that was an incredible, in terms of
he's even saying things like, I'm using your power against you.
Yeah,
you know?
But also the bullet time, him bringing up bullet time. Because they bring up... I thought that was great. I thought that was so good.
I don't see how you can love the original Matrix series and not like this one.
That's the big...
If you really don't like the Matrix and you watch this movie, then yeah, I could see why you wouldn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah.
But if you enjoyed the first Matrix film and you also enjoyed the other two, perhaps less, but still do, then yeah, I think it was perfect. What we didn't need was like, you know, Neo back in a trench coat,
No.
you know, wielding two even bigger guns, fighting squids while he can fly, because we never got that. We never got Neo flying around the Matrix shooting squids with like grenade launchers.
We didn't get that. I don't know why we don't have it.
And why don't what if we had like a giant Agent Smith that was as tall as the Empire State Building and, you know, breathing plasma?
Got that in the game.
Yeah, like, you know, it's like, is that what people wanted? Like,
no.
more just Matrix but bigger and dumber?
Yeah,
like,
and you know, it
was perfect. It was a perfect fourth film.
I do think it's pretty damn
with
good.
With the exception,
exceptions that
the things I pointed out, yeah, those are flaws, but like it got the main thing it needed to do. It got the
main thing it needed to do.
It got the main thing it needed to do, and it was unexpected.
It was unexpected.
And I think those two things together are worthy of praise.
I do have to agree with you there. Now, there's just a couple more things I wanted to ask you, which is some I saw some post on social media that was something like The Last Jedi was the people's Star Wars. It was like for the fans, and I think actually all of the new Star Wars are not for the fans at all, but they're actually all garbage from Disney. But without going there, is that what these someone in the same post said like Matrix 4 is for Lana, and we're just all on in for the ride to see what Lana wants to do. And I'm actually think that's pretty accurate because even though we're fans of the Matrix, we did not expect anything. And you are on Lana's ride when you see this film, and uh, you what do I want to say about that? Is that like if you're like a big fan of the Matrix, you're kind of a big fan of like the Wachowskis arc, even if you don't like their other films. Like I don't give a fuck about Speed Racer. I don't give a fuck about Ninja Assassin.
V for Vendetta was good.
V for Vendetta was fine. The other one, Cloud Atlas, I liked for what it was, and then that other one, I think it was like Jupiter Ascending or something with Mila Kunis. I have no interest in seeing at all.
Yeah, they haven't necessarily made films as good as The Matrix over and over again.
I haven't seen Bound, which I do want to see, but for like real fans of the thing, not like, and I think the fans of the Matrix are very different from like say Star Wars fans. Like Star Wars fans, you almost can't disappoint.
I don't know. You're getting into territory that I don't claim to have any understanding of.
Okay.
Because like I can't tell you what Star Wars fans want.
I think they can just take almost anything.
I think
there's a subset of Star Wars fans that will just take anything.
I can tell you what I think is creatively valuable about the original 3 Star Wars films. That's a conversation that I can have with you, but I cannot tell you what the fans want of The Matrix. They might all want trench coats and school shooter scenarios for all I know, like glorified antisocial behavior. I don't know, maybe that's what some Matrix fans want. What I like about The Matrix is what I think and hope is a clearer reading of what the creative idea behind it is. And yeah, if you don't like the 4th Matrix, it's probably because you don't enjoy the playful ideas that it's having with you, and you wanted more action and science fiction stuff, and a science fiction world that's dark and twisted and interesting. And yeah, no, that's not what this film's giving you at all.
Yeah, and actually going on that is that this one, despite it being
not to interrupt real quick, but in the beginning of the second act, we see all those people are still hooked into the Matrix and enslaved, and like
no one gives a shit.
Yeah, we don't really talk about that. That's that's not really an issue.
About them.
Whatever.
In the first one, it's such a big deal.
Yeah, no, they're kind of like, well, we work together now, but not really, and it's whatever.
These are pod people.
Yeah, the movie is clearly like doing something else, and if you're not willing to go along the ride for something different, then you're not going to like it. If you want more Matrix action, Matrix sci-fi world, you will be more lore. Niobe gives us some lore, but it's not really.
It's not even irrelevant.
Whatever.
Yeah, no one even cares what the lore is.
It's
Do you think
not
there's gonna
about
be a giant Wikipedia page?
It's not about
the
that.
New lore.
It's using the first 3 films as a language to make a new and interesting meta comment about the franchise itself, kind of like what Evangelion has done sometimes, where it uses its own lore to make fun of itself and reference itself.
That's interesting.
So yeah, this was a great film. I'm sad to hear that people are down on it. As for the fans, I do not have my tendrils in their brains, so I don't understand. I wouldn't know.
Let me see here. Oh, there's something else I wanted to ask.
That's a bummer that it has such a bad rating, though.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised because the other two don't have very good ratings either. It's really just the first one that's considered the Big Bang, but the other two are not well liked.
They have their flaws, but I don't think they're that bad.
Nah, me neither.
The ideas are still there, though.
Yeah, in fact, kind of funny is that while you were saying that, I remember what I wanted to say is that, like, this is, I guess, a sci-fi film insofar as it takes place in a sci-fi universe. But for me, like, it's not really sci-fi at all.
No, it's some kind of like
it's just too comedic.
Deconstructionist comedy.
Yeah, it's like a deconstructionist comedy.
Sci-fi comedy
about a sci-fi franchise.
Yeah, there might be a better way to sum up what it is, but I don't know.
I like that. It's a deconstructionist comedy about a science fiction franchise. Is what it really is, because even though it takes place in a sci-fi universe, once you realize what this movie is about and doing, you know it's about a sci-fi universe, but you don't look at it like that at all, because that's another thing which makes it kind of brilliant. Now that I'm saying it out loud, is that like everything that happens in Iona or Ion or whatever, I don't even know the name.
The New Zion,
the New
right?
Zion. Even that,
Ico,
like you can't even remember anything. You remember everything about the first Matrix movie, but like that whole thing takes place in a sci-fi universe. And since the whole film is talking about being in a sci-fi universe, you don't even read it as having any dramatic worth or pretension.
We're making,
but that's fine.
We're working on blueberries.
Yeah, we're
it's like, whatever. Get me out of this Fallout hub and into the main mission. I had enough of this. Whatever. Yeah, I met your little particle friend with the exaggerated nose that's helping you make blueberries. Whatever.
Yeah, like all the science fiction stuff is so like
it's just like here.
Yeah, you kind of check out during any time they're talking about like Sati's plot of how to get her out of the resurrection pod. Like you just check out in anything going on in the sci-fi universe, in the sci-fi world that's supposed to be taken quote unquote seriously.
Right, and
just check out.
What about that thing where Bugs temporarily fuses with
I don't understand
Trinity's
that at
avatar, and they're switching off fighting? Well,
there's a lot of fusions in this. There's like Morpheus, Smith.
Here's the
Smith
thing.
Corporate.
It's not just confusing in terms of plot. It's much more confusing dramatically. Why? What is this for? Why is this happening?
Okay, she might go crazy.
What does this mean?
That was it. Is it like Trinity might go insane?
Okay, but why write that? Why write that consequence in?
I don't even know.
It was very interesting and strange.
That didn't need to happen at all.
But yeah, no, it was so great at the same time. One of the best movies I feel like I've seen in a little while.
I have to agree. It is definitely one of the best films I've seen in a while. And there's not a lot of good movies out there that talk about being movies. I don't know if I'm supposed to refer to them by name, but Special Lady always brings up Funny Games.
Oh, yeah.
And how Funny Games is the special person in my life. Always brings up Funny Games, and how Funny Games is making fun of the fact that wink wink you're watching a movie
or
you're loving this shit.
Just the other night we watched Repo Man, and that has a literal dramatic plot that it is just doing its best to take as little seriously as possible towards the end. So yeah, no, it can work.
It can work.
You can have drama and disposable frivolousness at the same time.
What do you think will happen to students who are now young enough to be students, who are going to be forced by their professors to watch all 4 Matrix films in class, one after another over the course of a week, and then be berated about like media theory?
I think it's
what is cinema.
I think it's probably helpful.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. It probably is.
I think it's probably helpful.
Actually, yeah, you could do a whole course on all 4 films, where they're good, where they're flawed. Especially now that you have this cap on the 4th one.
Mm-hmm.
4th one is like if you put a hat on any of the Matrix people, like they got their cool clothing, they don't really need a fedora. But of course, many Matrix fans went out in the world in fedoras for some reason after the movies came
even
out.
Though there are no fedoras.
Even though there are no fedoras.
They were like, it works with this trench coat and sunglasses and katana and Uzi.
A fedora.
Right, but isn't it actually a treble, or what's it?
I don't know.
It's actually a different hat.
Is it a pork pie hat?
It's not really called a fedora.
Yeah, for some reason fedoras happen to a lot
Tribly or something.
They got a trilobite. I'm shocked that there's no Matrix characters without a fedora in this one.
Yeah, no, in this one, I really think Lana missed a really hilarious joke. That one bald guy with the sunglasses who was in on the last mission, he really should have had a fedora, and it should have been like shot right off of his head, cartoonishly. Like they pull it with a string, with a fishing line, it goes flying off his head. When the SWAT guys should have shot at him. Especially if no one dies in this Matrix, they definitely should have got a hat shot off their head. It would have at least shown the audience that the danger was real.
I feel like the secret co-writer in the shadows of this film is like Mel Brooks. You just think about like Blazing Saddles as a commentary on westerns.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's got so many gags in it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've said everything we possibly can about this.
Yeah,
It's 45 minutes long.
Well,
I know you want to keep talking about it. I don't know what else there is to say.
well, so you recommend it?
Highly, yeah.
Highly
I
recommend
highly
it.
recommend it. If you've never seen or don't like the original Matrix films, it probably won't track with you then.
I kind of feel like rewatching the film with you. One of the things I'd like to do is add more gags, like make it even more comedic. I would like to watch this film with you again and make more jokes.
See where you could insert more gags.
Yeah, like a gun coming out of Deja Vu, the cat.
Yeah,
should have happened.
Yeah, I was really. I'm kind of hoping that Lana was on the fence about that too. That we can find some interview or behind the scenes mention where they say we were gonna have a scene where they pull a huge bazooka out of the cat.
I would be willing to do a fan version of it where we reshoot scenes and add more jokes.
Oh
like, it should have gone even harder.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, well, you can always do a riff track of it, I suppose.
I mean, you could do a riff track of it, but also, you know how famously The Matrix made a lot of fan films when it first came out? Kids were doing bullet time and wearing shades and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about like getting a green screen and just doing some certain scenes and just going even harder into comedy and harder into meta commentary.
See, this is a true Matrix fan here. Eliott is such a Matrix fan that we've already completed the review for this film, and now he's like, you know what? We're gonna start shooting more of it. Not only am I not done talking about it, we're gonna shoot more of it and then talk about that. Eliott loves The Matrix.
I love The Matrix.
And so do I. But
I would say, I would recommend, like I said, a strong B+, a comedy, totally different. You got to see the 3 to get it. Yeah. And yeah, nice to end the year with something like this.
Yeah, way to go to Lana.
Way to go to Lana, and wonder what she's going to do next.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, thanks, Max, for talking to me about this.
Do you want to talk some more about it?
I'm sure once we stop, we will.
Quite possibly.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us again.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
I love you.